Irashaimase. Hello and welcome to Fitaurus Kitchen. I'm your host, Chef Fitaurus. It's time once again for Shoot 'em Up Saturday, and on the menu this Saturday we have Vortex Attack EX, a fun classic arcade-styled space shooter. What kind of taste will it have? Let's get cooking and find out. Vortex Attack EX is an enhanced version of Vortex Attack. The original Vortex Attack released on PC in 2015, and now 4 years later we have this enhanced version that's available on PC and now Nintendo Switch. So the game itself has a very classic arcade feel to it, similar to games like Space Invaders or Galaga. So if you're fans of those ones, then this one might be worth checking out. So from the main menu, we can go to Start Game, and from this point we select our dimension. There's two dimensions available, the metal dimension and the neon dimension. The differences here happen to be like difficulty. In the metal dimension it's possible to play at normal difficulty or beginner, and the neon is arcade difficulty. So it's a little bit harder, but there are fewer levels. Also, from the screen we're able to change our visual filters. Right now I have it set to vivid as I really enjoy that. You've got strong colors, pixels, and the more you play the game, the more filters you'll unlock. Between the two different dimensions we can select between here, my preference personally is the arcade neon dimension because I just really love those bright, vivid colors. The metal dimension just almost seems like the enemies are a little bit too flat shaded, so we'll go with the neon dimension for showing off the game today. It does support up to 3 players, which is nice to see. Once the players click in, they get to choose their ship. There are 11 different ships you can choose between. So we've got the basic ship for novices, the Vector, which does a pretty good job of getting you started. And then you go on through all these other ships, and the ships are unlocked through your gameplay, which is really nice. For our purposes today, let's take the average ship, the Rosar. It's also possible to upgrade these ships throughout the course of gameplay, so the way that the ship looks now isn't necessarily the way it'll look as you play through the game. So starting off, as I noted, it's similar to games like Galaga and Space Invaders. So it's a fixed shooter where you basically have all the action taking place on the one screen. So the way the gameplay works is we destroy the enemies, but the enemies will keep on coming as long as that vortex, that black hole in the top middle of the screen, is still present. How do we defeat that black hole? Well, as we defeat the enemies, there's little energy crystals called Lumergy that fall from those enemies. If we collect that Lumergy, it falls towards the black hole, closing that vortex. So that's our basic core gameplay loop, is destroy enemies, collect the Lumergy, and close the black hole. Throughout the course of doing this, we're of course gaining points, getting power-ups, and making our ship stronger. So the game itself has tons of different power-ups. So there are like 11 different ships in the game, and then you've got all these different power-ups, and depending on which ship you took, the amount of power-ups it can take will differ. So whenever I pick up a power-up, and if I haven't picked up that power-up before, it will say what it is, or rather, sorry, that's a bad way of putting it. If I haven't maxed out that power-up, it will tell me what the power-up is, but it also displays it in the left of the screen underneath your player's health. So in that case, I picked up Rapid Fire, and this particular ship at its current level can support up to 6 levels of Rapid Fire. And then I got Multi-Shot, and it can support up to 5 levels of Multi-Shot. It's really neat that there's all that, variety in what a particular ship can power up to. But as you play through the game, you'll come across power-ups which actually level up the ship, and it can level up all the way to level 4. So you start at 1, you can move all the way up to level 4. The higher the level, the more you can upgrade, not necessarily every ability, but most of your abilities. Increases the cap, which is a really awesome mechanic, I feel. So after you defeat a boss, which comes across every few stages, we get kind of this bonus stage as we transition, as we warp to another sector. Here we just have these worms that we have to destroy, and as we destroy them we can get bonus points and additional power-ups. So that multi-shot I picked up happened to fully max out this ship's multi-shot. I also happen to get a front shield that's similar to the kind of shield you'd see from Gradius, and a force field. If you happen to destroy all the enemies, you do get a bonus for having a perfect. And we move on to Sector 2. So as you move through the sectors in the game, things become increasingly difficult, and you do get new power-ups and abilities, and they're also, you start to see power downs. So they're basically the same as the power-ups that we see, but red, and instead of in the shape of a spear, they're in the shape of a diamond. So you want to avoid those in most cases. There might be some stages or some situations where it would be advantageous to take one, like if it was a speed up and it was a speed downgrade, you might be thinking you're going too fast, so you'd want to pick up that speed downgrade. That's always a possibility. So that's what we basically have here with Vortex Attack EX. It's a relatively fun basic title, which I feel is actually a good fit on a portable system like the Nintendo Switch. It's kind of a great title to just pick up and play every now and then put down, pick it up again, and continue. Although I did have one weird bug where I was playing the game, I set it down or I paused it to pick it up later. This was right after I'd beaten a boss, so maybe that was part of it. But when I started playing it again in docked mode, for some reason the game just was stuck in a loop where the enemies never spawned. So the music was playing, I could move the ship around and shoot, but there wasn't anything happening, so there was no way for me to progress the game. So I guess that would be a minus flavor, is there does appear to be some bugs in the title itself. Another minus flavor is the overall difficulty curve. So it starts off almost too easy, and it takes a while just to build up to something that's difficult and, well, more interesting as well. Depending on what ship you take, you have a substantial amount of health, so at least in earlier portions of the game, you're not in too much risk. Because really, it's not until this boss here that things get difficult, and it's just a matter of learning how to rather avoid this boss. And this is one that I definitely enjoy significantly more in the neon dimension rather than the metal, as those orbs that circle around the boss are actually hard to see in the metal dimension. So it's actually an easier fight playing this one in the neon dimension. Though that said, I'm not doing particularly well. As far as plus flavors are concerned, I really like the look of the game in that bright, vivid neon. It just reminds me of those really fun arcade-style shoot-'em-ups that I just enjoy so much. And then there's that part of just really enjoying the arcadey feel of the game. So if you do happen to continue, you do take a little bit of a power down, but it's not terribly hard to rebuild yourself back up, just something to note. So overall, if you're a fan of arcade shoot-'em-ups, this one might not be a bad title to look into. It does have some decent gameplay and a reasonable amount there to enjoy, though maybe a discount or a sell. So there we have it, Vortex Attack EX served up for your enjoyment. Alright, well, that'll just about wrap it up for this week's episode of Shoot 'em Up Saturday. As always, I would like to thank you so much for coming out and joining me this week, and I look forward to seeing you again next week.